Hello and welcome to Goal Line Gossip. This is our weekly Fallout show where we discuss our Premier League games from the weekend. And we have a very interesting show, interesting in respect of finding out what's wrong with Manchester United. We'll also be covering Salah's huge achievement. So he's been involved in with 200 goals, which is like a great feat. And maybe he's the all-time great of the Premier League. Who knows? We'll put that topic in for our friends here, and we'll speak about that. We also have Aiton Mag, and we'll go over, how Newcastle is performing in this season, and sort of like trying to debunk what is the target for Newcastle, at least out of the 5 games that we've seen that they've played so far. So I would like to welcome the Kloppite and Aiton Mag to the show. Thank you so much for making time for this. Truly appreciate that. And the first topic for today is going to be Manchester United, of course. Now, I'm going to start off by saying that it had been a pretty crappy week for any Manchester United fan, the last week from the international break coming to this match on Saturday. Of course, because there's been the Antony issue, which is, let's face it, nobody really knows what's going to happen with it. Of course, we've seen Mason Greenwood being caught up with sort of like a similar kind of scenario, and we all know that he left the club, at least for now. We don't know what's going to happen with Antony. He has been suspended by Manchester United, and I think it's a good decision. There's nothing else that you can do at this point. There is an investigation going on, and blah, blah, blah. You guys all have access to social media, so I don't need to fill you in for that. Secondly, this whole Sancho drama, that was also like after the Arsenal match, the press conference where Erik ten Hag said that he was not picked in the team, in the squad, which was traveling to London for the match because of his performance. And of course, like everybody knows,
performance in training. Yeah.
Performance in training. And like we know, Sancho, I think in 10 or 12 minutes had a post ready in Twitter saying that, hey, don't believe what they say, I'm being a scapegoat. And there was a lot of tension throughout the week in terms of what's going to happen to Sancho. And the resolution that we know so far is he's not allowed to train with the main team, so he was out as well. So that was there. And there's a lot of debate around, whether it's Erik ten Hag's fault, whether it's Sancho's fault, or whether it's the Glazers' fault, because, we talk about the Glazers all the time. So that's there. And of course, Harry Maguire scored an own goal and then got backed by Southgate, saying that he gets the abuse from Manchester United fans or like English fans in general. So that was there as well. So it was like all in all like a pretty crap week for any Manchester United fan. And like I'm just gonna speak about myself. I was desperately waiting for this match because at the end of the day, we know Harry Maguire, Sancho, Antony, Erik ten Hag because we love football, right? And I was desperately waiting for some kind of a performance that will at least, shift the focus back to the sport rather than, all these dramas that are happening in the background. But of course, as we know, then we lost to Brighton at home. Interestingly, the last time we lost at Old Trafford was against Brighton last year when Erik ten Hag joined as the Manchester United head coach. So the home record is gone. Of course, we have a shitty away record, and it's been going on for a while. We play Bayern Munich on Wednesday. Harry Kane is going to at the Allianz Arena. Let's make that clear. It's not even at our turf, so it's going to be let's just say a difficult game. And then we go to Burnley. I think, yeah, Burnley, right? So yeah, the games are not going to get any easier, I think. And everybody, I think the club in general is under a lot of pressure, whether you look at it from a point of view of ownership, the sale, and also from a footballing point of view in terms of, what is Erik ten Hag up to? What are the players doing? Is this going to be a repeat of what happened to Jose Mourinho, Louis van Gaal, or Solskjaer? Like, you start off really, not really well, but decently in the first season. The second season is like a bit of average, and the third season.
Yeah. So do you think United will get again stuck in that loop of first season goes really well, like it went to Shoreshire also, and then
Yeah, of
again the
course.
reality
Yeah,
check
yeah,
comes in.
100%. And there is a logical explanation to it. It's not a mystery anymore because I think
It's the
what happens.
Glazers.
Yeah,
It is the Glazers.
it's it is doing the wrong things in the wrong way, and I think we have screwed up a lot of transfer windows over in the span of like the last 6 seasons. I think we have made a lot of bad decisions, whether it's buying the right player but with the wrong like price tag, or buying the wrong player with the wrong price tag. We've done it all, right? We've signed so many injured players. We've signed players who are not up to the mark, like people like Fred and Harry Maguire for 80 million, right? So and you also have to understand there are a lot of players in the squad who have gone through these phases of playing under four different managers, and that takes a toll on you. If as a player, I mean, I don't play football professionally, but if I were to be a part of a club like Manchester United or any kind of like professional club, and my managers every 2 years or 3 years gets changed, and there's a new philosophy, there's a new coaching staff, there's a new strategy of how it's going to be played out on the field, I would be confused. Either I'm confused or I don't care. I'm just there for the money, because we all know all the I mean, at least like 90% of the people who play for Manchester United are paid really well, maybe too generously in terms of the salary, in terms of other deals and stuff that they get uh, while they're like selling themselves to for marketing and stuff like that. So I just feel like there are a lot of players like uh, Harry Maguire is definitely there. Well, Scott McTominay, I think he got introduced when Jose Mourinho was there. He's still there. He played on Saturday, and of course, like these things need to change, because we've seen the same players under the different coaches, but
Yeah,
in level of performance, it's been the same thing, and that is
yeah.
not
I feel like
resonating well.
United need a like a open heart surgery kind of thing, like Arsenal did.
It's
Like
exactly
just
what
get rid of the players.
Ralph Ragnick said. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ralph
Just
Ragnick,
get rid of
the
the players.
interim.
Pay them off. Just send them.
Well, if that was the case, then Harry Maguire wouldn't be here, right? I mean, he asked
Yeah,
for an
just
additional 5 million, and they're not going to pay, because there's a very particular way the owners of Manchester United look at players. They look at them as assets. So
mm,
what it means by if you buy someone for 80 million, give them like a ridiculous. I think Harry Maguire is on a 6 or 7 year or 8 year contract, which is completely like insane. Uh, they they've sort of averaged his price tag and salary based on how much he's worth every season. So whenever he's up for sale in the transfer market, there is this weird Manchester United owners assigned price tag, and if you can't meet it, apparently we don't sell. Scott McTominay yesterday, I mean not yesterday, on Saturday played for I think 80% of the match. He had only 26 or 27 or 28 touches, which is absolutely embarrassing. And this is a
for a
player
midfielder.
that
Yeah, for a
that
midfielder. Yeah,
West Ham wanted for 35 million. And I know some Manchester United fans who actually, I mean, I don't know what they feel about him right now, but when this news came out that West Ham really wanted them, they thought 35 was too less. McTominay should be 40 or 50. And that's what I'm saying. If that is the perception
On
around.
basis of what? On basis of what? I
Exactly.
mean,
This is what?
what's his
Maybe on
yeah.
performance
Even
over
Scotland.
the years?
Maybe it's
yeah,
based
that's what
on.
Yeah,
you're asking. He's not even he's homegrown. Yeah, he is. He's homegrown.
And that's pure profit for the books, right? I
Yeah,
mean, we talk about
yeah.
FFP, and United has been
yeah.
crying out
Chelsea.
that we don't have
Yeah,
money. He's the only player who's homegrown, who's been playing, and apparently some clubs wants him for 30, 35. And just sell him, make the profit, use that money somewhere else. And I don't understand this whole theory about he's really good with Scotland. I mean, who cares about Scotland? I mean, seriously, it's Scotland. I mean, they don't even qualify for, some of the Euros or international competitions, and it's great that he's doing well there. But in Manchester United, he does not have a place. And if we fail to offload these players in every transfer window, they're going to pile up. They're going to block the salary wages, and that's going to stop us from buying players who would actually fit into whatever the style the manager or the coaches want to play with, and we will suffer. And that actually brings me to breaking down the game a little bit, like in terms of what went wrong. I know that we have a lot of injuries. Varane is injured. I mean, he was not there. Luke Shaw is not there. And in the previous match against Arsenal, uh, Varane got injured, and Varane did Varane play? I'm not really sure, but
No, 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 he didn't
Martinez
play.
Lindelof
He
played.
he
didn't.
was not. Lindelof played, and both Lindelof and Martinez they came out of from an injury, and we had to like sub them off. So I know the injury thing is there, but that's not the end of the story. I think what we have learned from last season to this season is Eric Ten Hag is very obsessed about making Manchester United a transitional team. I think there was a quote where he actually said the words that I want Manchester United to be the best team when it comes to transitional play. Now, all that looks really or sounds really cool and great, but in order to have a transitional team that can, go from defense to attack really fast and also like come back from attack to defense is very difficult when you do not have the right players. And that's what we have been suffering from, and that's one of the reasons why we saw this horrendous like performance on Saturday. We started off the game really well, like the first 15-16 minutes it was all Manchester
Yeah,
United.
yeah. That was
uh,
probably Manchester United's best play in
exactly.
this season.
And
15 minutes.
that I'm pretty sure Eric Ten Hag wants, but at the same time, the problem is with this team, you can tell them to you can tell them to go by the plan and play in a certain way, but they are not really uh, into adapting to a different style if something goes wrong. What happened after the first goal is Brighton, they on the fly they sort of figured out how we were going to play, and they countered that. They started playing more widely because we were playing a diamond, so it was always going to be narrow. So I think the plan from Manchester United's point of view was to play narrow and stop those passes from the
Crowd the
midfield.
midfield, yeah.
Exactly. But what we saw was that Brighton started playing from the from the wide angles, right? So they started like playing from the width, and that's where we couldn't like transition from an attacking position to a defending position and come back and save. Because if you look at the Odegaard goal from Arsenal and the 3 goals that we
Oh, sorry.
conceded from the Brighton game, it's
Okay,
the
oh,
same
the
thing.
Odegaard. Yeah, yeah. The cut from
There's a
cut back
cutback.
from the wing.
Exactly, there's a cutback, and the midfielders are scoring. What does that tell you? Our midfield is not ready. Our midfield is not capable of marking the man. And in both of these two games, we had Casemiro and Ericsson. These were the two constants who played almost 90 minutes or close to 90 minutes, and they're not being able to do it. And of course, like playing in a transitional play is also to be marked as a fault here, because our players don't have the capability to track back and get into a defensive position. But also, like from a point of view of when you look at the Manchester United formation, there were 3 midfielders like at the center of the pitch, and it was Christian Eriksen on the left. There was who was in the middle? There was Casemiro in the middle, and on the right you had
Bruno.
Scott McTominay. So
Oh,
Bruno was
Scott
a little forward.
Yeah,
Yes.
Cam. Okay, he's playing
Yeah.
ahead. Yeah.
So Christian Eriksen and McTominay, they cannot defend. They can't. And I think anybody would agree with me when I say that. Scott McTominay can score a few goals. He can be a little box to box, but he's not a defender. We've seen the whole episode with him and Fred, like over the course of the Solskjaer era, where we used to play them like every game. They were known as the McFred. Sounds like the McDonald's meal. Now, if you take the Fred out of McFred, if you sell a pair of buns without the patty, it has no value. So I know that Fred left the club, but Scott McTominay on his own, I don't know what he's going to provide to the team. So that was one problem that
I,
hurt us.
I'll, I'd like to ask you, like, before the season started, like, did you at all get excited by the transfers? I just didn't feel like Man United had a massive change of like. Did it improve the team? Did the transfers improve the team? Did
I
you
don't
know
think so.
like
I don't think it improved the team majorly, and I'll tell you why. So we finished third last season, and we got to two cup finals, and I think it was a pretty decent season if we consider what happened to the season before that, where we finished sixth. I think it was our worst Premier League performance ever, right? So in reference to that, I think we did pretty decent. Like I think we got lucky with the third position. Newcastle could easily be third, and we could have been fourth. But again, like getting a Champions League spot and all that, it was great. But what we did this season, it's almost like it's like we did not rectify the mistakes that we made or the things that we had to improve, and we've become even worse at things that we were actually good at. So I'll give you an example. I keep on coming back to the Onana thing. Onana is a better player in this generation in today's style of football. I completely agree. But was it a good idea to sell? I mean, like not sell, but let go of David De Gea and spend like 45 to 50 million pounds for a new goalkeeper? Was it like absolutely necessary? I know he wants to be transitional football, but changing the goalkeeper will not do it. If that goalkeeper is passing the ball to someone like Harry Maguire, he's clueless. If he's
Exactly.
passing that ball
exactly?
to Scott McTominay, they're clueless. I mean, and Andre Onana is going to get a lot of blame and a lot of like abuse from the fans based on this, because they'll be like, "Oh, he's not stopping the shots that David De Gea
Hmm.
used to stop." And
Hmm.
I think some parts of it is actually true, because if you look at last season, there were a lot of matches that we won with a score line of 1-0, right? So
Yep,
basically,
yep.
we scored a goal, and then somehow we are able to go through the whole 90 minutes without conceding, right? And I think, of course, the defense was there. Varane, Martinez, Lindelof, Harry Maguire, whoever defended, kudos to them as well. But I think David De Gea over the years has stopped a lot of sure shot goals that
Yeah.
we just don't like. We've taken him for granted, right? We've taken that for granted, and now that is not happening with Andre Onana, because he's a different style of goalkeeper. His strengths are somewhere else, but we are not being able to use their strengths, right? Last season we had the most number of clean sheets, and those clean sheets are not happening this season. So what is happening is we are not scoring more goals, we are still scoring one goal every match. I mean,
And your
kind of like,
defensive cover is gone
but we,
because your
yeah,
midfield.
midfield and maybe the goalkeeper. Who knows? I don't know. And we've had a lot of injuries as well, right? So Varane is out, Martinez was out for a bit, and Luke Shaw is out. So there are a lot of changes there. So the team needs to like get a grip on what's happening, and get used to it. And the formation that we played against Brighton was also a diamond, which we rarely play. So I'm not sure if Eric Ten Hag is going to stick with the diamond going forward, but it takes time. And when you're playing the diamond, the whole thing about diamond
Yeah,
is
you
having,
cannot you cannot try something new against a team like Brighton who are like so well drilled with their possession-based gameplay. And they are
yeah.
almost as good as a proper top four team in
And
terms of the
it's
style and
weird with
everything.
Brighton. I mean, if you look, if you had a closer look to their team sheet, there was no Evan Ferguson, there was no Ansu Fati. These guys didn't even start, right? So which means
Not
the
just them,
whole
not just them. No Estupinian, no
no stu-
Soliman.
Guy.
exactly. Which means it's not
And
just
they
about
got
the players; it's the
some guy
style.
called Adingra or something, and he looked like he's been playing for many years for them.
Right. And
So
and and kudos to Brighton. I sorry, you were saying?
no, there is one more point about Manchester United. In the defense area, once Martinez and Varane is not there, look at the other names. I mean,
Yeah,
the transition from first 11 players to the reserve bench is I mean, huge gap in the
yeah.
quality. And you have to understand that
This
takes a
is
toll in matches.
this so
And
I want to ask, like, you and Chelsea have spent like 1.15 billion or something, I've seen, and both of your teams don't look that great after like 10, 11, 12 players. It looks pretty average. Like, so I don't know how you guys have spent this money and still doesn't seem that you made such a huge difference. And I know it comes down to the people who the Glazers have appointed over time, and they haven't been picking the right player. But I think even Eric Ten Hag is at fault. Uh, probably would have. Was Mason Mount really needed in the team? We could ask this question. Um, so you got one left back, Malaysia there, Shaw there, and now you got Regulon. And there's so many players I feel like just don't seem to fit.
Right.
Doesn't give
Um,
you that
Yeah, yeah.
excitement.
I mean, I was looking at the gameplay of Brighton from the second half. They started coming from the wing, and
yeah.
there is no right back for Manchester United. Lamptey and that guy Mitoma, they are
Mhm.
coming down like a wave, attack after attack from their left side. I mean, there was no one actually just giving the pressure
Yeah,
back to
and
the.
I think I said the same. Like United don't have good fullbacks, and they have not addressed it for so many. I don't know how many years. Dalot just doesn't cut it as a top class
I
right
think
back, or
Dallo. I think Dallo is fine, and yeah, I have to
but he
remember that
he's okay.
Shaw.
He's okay as a squad player. I feel for a big club. I think not
Yeah, I
not
mean,
not a starter,
Luke
right?
Shaw is injured. I mean, he's been pretty consistent. I mean, he's been inconsistent, but he's been like the main left back for a while, and I think he does a decent job. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is unfortunately injured for 2 months. That's
But
was
Aaron Bissaka isn't good enough. Like, is he good enough?
I completely agree, but I think a result of what happened on Saturday is also based on the formation and diamond. When you're playing in the
Yeah,
diamond, your
I'm
fullbacks are
not
going to
just
go.
talking about Saturday. Whenever I watch Manchester United, I don't like what it's like the same thing which I saw with Liverpool last season. Like,
Mhm.
I don't see a plan. Like, what is the plan?
Yep.
Like,
The
you
plan
may
is
say
to
like,
be the best transitional playing
yeah, but that
football
is a plan. But I don't
team,
see it
I
on the
guess.
on the on the pitch.
You can't with these players. You can't. You're absolutely right. I mean, if you have players like, I mean, we're talking about fullbacks, right? So when you're playing in a transitional way, your fullbacks are your, I think, your biggest strength because they can give you so much, and not from a point of view of just attacking, but inverting, coming back. Uh, you know not playing people on side, they can do so much, and I don't think we have the quality in that. I mean, Regulon, it was just the first match. He seemed pretty decent. I don't know what you guys thought about him. He was really good going forward, but we know Regulon is
Yeah,
not
yeah,
known to be a good fullback when it comes
defensive.
to defending, right? I'm not sure if that's going to help or we're going to change the system, but completely agree with you guys that you know when you look at Varane and Martinez, and if they are not available, that's next to center backs are not at the same level, and also like
Who are the
in this
next? Then Lindelof and Maguire. That's it, right? And
Lindelof,
Wise.
Maguire, and Evans
Johnny
probably.
Evans.
Oh my
Johnny
Johnny.
Evans.
goodness.
Uh, I mean, that's what I was talking. I mean, when your defense is the gap is this much, it takes a toll. It certainly takes a toll. We see
Right.
what happened to Arsenal after Saliba got injured.
Mhm.
They that cost them the championship, entire championship. It's
And
similar for. I mean,
and
I
this
don't know
and this
how.
season, yeah, and this season Casemiro has not been the same. Like he
He hasn't.
obviously he's aging, and so he
Mhm.
cannot offer that protection anymore. And I think that's why you're getting more exposed.
Right,
Uh,
right. Absolutely, and it's not just the defense; it's also the midfield. I mean, the
yeah,
fact that Christian Eriksen still plays 90 minutes, it's concerning. It just goes to show that again,
sure.
like the same point. Who's the next one who comes on the field if Eriksen is not available? Is that Scott McTominay? And that is concerning. It's 100%
So
concerning.
so so I was watching a Gary Neville interview just before the season started, and he said on the overlap that I bet Jurgen Klopp will swap Liverpool's midfield with Manchester United.
What?
And
I
yeah, he
don't know.
said that. I have the clip. So obviously, probably it was prior to us signing
The
Gravenberch
transfers, right?
and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
no, I
It's
think two players
probably
were already in. No, no, it was Soboslai and McAllister were in already, but he still said the same because I think he
because of
rated,
Mason Mount. Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah, he rated Mason Mount
English
quite highly.
English bias. Oh my God, can't even tell you.
I'm not saying Mason Mount is a bad player, but I just don't think you
We
needed
don't
him.
know how
He's
how he fits into the team. And trust me, every Manchester United fan, we are all so confused about him. He still feels like a Chelsea player. I know he wears the number 7 shirt. I know he wears the Manchester United jersey, but the
Yeah,
way
he
that
does
deal
feel like a
happened,
Chelsea
he,
player.
it's
he
weird.
could be a winger, he could be an attacking midfielder, but certainly not a box-to-box midfielder, I think. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
his defensive
You need
capability is
more
pretty.
protection in the back, at the back. Yeah.
Yeah, but I
I mean,
but I feel like if Mount were playing on Saturday, it would have been better instead of McTominay or an Ericsson, because he's really good when he's off the ball in terms of the work rate tracking and stuff like that. So I'm not sure if the diamond is actually something that he would excel in.
And
But again, like, sorry, what?
yeah, and I'll like relate to this. What United are doing and currently to Arsenal and Liverpool what they did. Like Liverpool last season were terrible because like Klopp was stubborn. I think Klopp realized this season how to fix it and like just move on from the old players like Naby Keita, Oxygen. They were there for years. Jordan Henderson. And I feel United need to lose these players. Martial, what has Martial offered your team? He's still there. He's a
Fact that
good
he
player.
was substituted in for Hoyland at 65th minute or something like that on Saturday was mind-boggling. The fact that he thought, getting Anthony Martial in the field is going to help us save the
I
season.
won't blame. I have heard this like complaint from United fans like why was Hoyland taken off? But I think that is more down to fitness and stuff. So I think that's a pre-planned
He's
substitution.
been playing for his international club like in the week
Yeah, but
before. I don't.
he came as substitute, I think, for both the games. So
I just hope it's not something like, we
no, no,
have
I
a
think
laptop at Manchester United that suggests this player is going to play this much. Otherwise, they'll be
maybe,
injured, and everything is based off of that. I just
no,
hope
I
it's not.
think it
maybe
does
I know
work
a
it
lot
like
of
was
managers do that.
maybe it was
I
a
think it does work
forward
like
protection for Bayern Munich against
yeah. For the
he need to
next
start.
week,
But
Munich and Burnley.
the challenge is if you want to take off Hoyland, who is going to replace it? That's the concept.
Rashford down the middle, or you'll get to see
uh,
Martial.
and
Those are two
and
options.
there's no one on the wing to
There's no one on the wing.
cover.
I mean,
Yeah,
you have
cover.
Ganacho and
That guy
there's a guy
Hannibal
called
was good.
Pelestri.
I'm not sure Hannibal plays in which role actually. Right midfield, left midfield.
He's in the right
The
midfield mostly.
Cam.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's cap. He's mostly like in Bruno's place. Yeah, that's. But yeah, he's.
he's a kid,
I
right?
thought he's
He
going
is
to get
young, but
soon.
I mean, Manu
Yeah, he scored a
certainly not
fantastic goal,
depend
but
on. Yeah, exactly. But you cannot depend on a new player against a Champions League first match against Man United.
Where I
Eh,
actually blame Eric Ten Hag is so he introduced a lot of youngsters in that match, right? I mean, Hannibal was one of them. We also saw, I think, Canacho was obviously there, Pelestri as well. So it kind of felt like he's trying to use the academy players or the young players as an example to the players who were already playing, which felt good as a fan. But at the same time, this is the guy who did not substitute Marcus Rashford. He played all 90 minutes. He was
Yes,
decent in the first half. I'm not going to lie, he was decent. But in the second half, he was just consumed with this responsibility of putting his head down,
exactly.
running and scoring a goal, and he forgot everything. We have to understand that we have a proper number 9 now. We have Rasmus Højlund, who is a striker, and your job as a winger is not always to think of how you can score the goal. You need to feed him, right?
Yeah.
And we almost scored a goal through that. I mean, it was disallowed, unfortunately, but then that is what he needs to do. He needs to understand this new role. Yes, he's the main man. I get it in Manchester United. Yes, he's in uh, 300 grand or whatever his salary is, and everybody loves him. But this is a team sport. He needs to know his role. And the fact that he was not substituted, and to a point where he was wobbling in the field, it seemed like he didn't want to run at the end, and he was still there. It just concerns me. And that's the biggest criticism that I have of Eric Ten Hag, who got rid of Cristiano Ronaldo because he wouldn't track back and he would he'd be a luxury player. He doesn't want to play Harry Maguire. I understand why he doesn't want to play Harry Maguire, but when it comes to Marcus Rashford, Eric Ten Hag
Yeah.
is in love with him. I mean, he wouldn't like, even if he's like playing the most trashiest game ever with his dribbling, not passing or whatever, he's not going to take him off. And that is my biggest concern because he is
But
actually
who do you
giving
take
him
him? But I understand this criticism, but who do you take him off for? Who do you get
Exactly.
on?
just put Rasmus Hoyland there. We
In
Rasmus
the
already
Højlund
wing,
was playing. He was playing right already.
no, but change the formation, right? I mean, he's playing on the left, right? So Rashford goes from the left to put Ganacho there. I'm pretty sure Ganacho is going to put in more crosses than Rashford, uh, which is based on last season, and he will because Rashford. It almost seems like either Eric Ten Hag is telling him that you will have to score today, or he thinks he needs to score today. Otherwise, he's probably
Yeah.
not going to be able to sleep that night,
or
and
So
that is
or
yeah,
or
even
or
I thought Rashford's body language was pretty terrible.
yeah.
Even I thought.
He stopped running like in the 70th minute or 80th minute. I think he got a knock or something. He seemed a little wobbly. But my point is, why is he on the field? Just take him off. You're putting in Hannibal Mabry and Anthony Martial. So clearly you're trying something new that nobody
or or
understands. Take him off.
or, or Ten Hag could think that if Rashford couldn't do anything, no one else could. That could
Yeah, that
be,
That's not a good thought to have,
yeah,
right? I mean,
exactly.
we've
But
all seen Marcus. He's not Cristiano Ronaldo. Neither is he Mohamed Salah. We all know who he is as a player. If he thinks that Marcus Rashford is Ronaldo and Salah, well, he's
yeah, but
so that's what I think that Eric Ten Hag, even though he's spent a lot of money, I think he needs to take out all of these players. Just bin them. They're not. You cannot rely on Martial and all of those Scott McTominay to come good. They're done. They might have some. Martial may have. I've heard some United fans saying that he still has talent. That's gone. Cannot.
yeah.
You got five
That
years. You didn't show anything. You're not fit enough to be a starter
and that
regularly.
is why every Manchester United fan desperately wanted a sale of the club because that seems like the only plausible way something like this can happen because the Glazers are not going to sell players taking a loss or something like that. They would want the right price, otherwise you stay in the club and whatever. We have the
Yeah,
contract for X number of years and we are paying you. And I don't think the Manchester. I mean, of course, most of the people
I'm
they want.
surprised you could not offload some of these players to the Saudi league, and I thought Liverpool this how probably Klopp would have made the same mistake.
I don't
But
know about the Saudi league, man. I mean, it sort of seems like again, this is just me. I don't know the truth, but it kind of feels like you need to be in that WhatsApp group where PIF people are there. I don't think any Manchester United staff were invited there, so they have no clue how to sell to the Saudis. Because the Saudis come for you, you don't go to the Saudis. And that's at least
yeah,
that's the pattern that we've seen, and I don't think Manchester United officials are in the right
yeah. So
WhatsApp
we
group.
we
So
we
maybe
have
we
we have
put that.
we have heard about the incompetence of the technical directors and footballing
Yep.
directors of Manchester United, and yeah, probably I think the Saudis would have taken Martial for a decent price.
100%. Yeah. And all of these three players, like whether you're talking about Scott McTominay, whether you're talking about
Yeah, they,
Harry Maguire probably wouldn't go. But at least Martial, who's not English, who's been in Manchester United and kind of not cutting it anymore. And Scott McTominay, I don't know about McTominay though. He's also like, he's British. So maybe they wouldn't go, but there was no interest. There was no news of these players being linked to any clubs in the Saudi league, which was also quite interesting because because when we started talking about Saudi, I remember Klopp, you're like, "Oh, Liverpool, we don't do this," and then you sold a couple of players. So there's clearly something going on there, like where you have the contacts or they approached or there's something happened. Maybe it's Gerrard, so maybe we need Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to go to the Saudi league first and then be able to sell
no, but
Scott
we also did
McTominay and Martial.
offload Fabinho, and
Oh yeah,
we
he
also
was
Fabinho
got.
going. Yeah,
Henderson,
Yeah,
Henderson.
Henderson, he's saying the Gerrard, like that's what
Yeah.
he's
yeah,
saying about Gerrard. But also we got rid of Naby Keita and Oxlade-Chamberlain this summer, and I think that that brought a fresh life in the team, and it's not the same. What Arsenal did, like just chuck all of your old players, like let be big names, let be all the talented players in the world, like Ozil and what. This is not cutting it anymore. You just cannot keep praying that they will come. It's been 5 years. Just get rid of him. I think even I was like that emotional. I think even some of the local fans say that Thiago should go. It's so like you're not fit enough to play anymore. You might be the one of the best players ever, but you you're just not fit enough for this club or this league. I think you
Yeah,
should just
and at
go.
the end of the day, like Eric Ten Hag is going to be in massive amount of like pressure this season because I mean, yeah, it's great we finished third last season, but by the looks of what is happening
And the
right now
other
with Manchester United,
this time, I feel United stagnated or just became a little worse, and all the other teams around them who underperformed, like
yeah,
Spurs, Liverpool, they
yeah,
improved.
just look at the score lines from the last game week. Everybody was like, most of you guys were like down with one
Yeah,
goal.
yeah,
Everybody
yeah.
came back except for us at home. And what does that tell you? That there's been a drop off from last season, and it's not only that we did not improve the problems from last season. We have actually taken the good parts of last season, which is like being good defensively. Although we got thrashed in Etihad and Anfield, but still, like overall, we are conceding at about 2 goals in an average every game, which
Yeah,
is very
even
very
like
concerning.
I was hearing from a Manchester fan saying that uh like last season also like you had like you were saying just you had some games which you won 1-0 and you held
Yep.
out at the back. But there were some games like the Liverpool one and the Brighton one, the Brentford one, and
Mhm.
City one as well, where you got
Yep.
just played off the park,
Yep.
and that was like 5 6 games last season, and but this seems like those games will happen more frequently now, and
Absolutely.
so
We
the
we
signs were
didn't play
there
City,
that
and yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm saying
No,
the signs
absolutely.
were
The
there.
signs 100%, 100%. I think just based from the transfer window, again, like going for a better goalkeeper, Mason Mount. I don't know. I mean, it just doesn't add up to an upgrade immediately.
I
Maybe in
mean,
the long
maybe
term,
what
it will
what
be.
you could have done was like even if you get the goalkeeper or another midfielder, I think if you didn't have the money, this is what Ten Hag's fault I think is just distribute it. You don't need to get Mount. You can get Madison for lesser price, or you can get. I think Madison would have worked for you guys like before Spurs any day of the week,
No,
and he could
I
have.
think no, Madison and Bruno both play
But
in
they
the
just
same
bought Mount.
position. I think,
They just bought Mount also, who plays almost at the same position. I feel.
but maybe they thought that Mount could have
Okay,
played a
let's
number
not
eight role.
let it
I
not
mean,
be Madison. It could have
any
been any
other
other player.
number eight, in
Yeah,
any
it could have
other
been any other
I'm
player
actually, yeah, I'm
in the
I'm
league.
actually like not too bothered about the number eight. I think we should have definitely gotten a good center back. We
Yeah, that's what I'm
targeted
saying.
Kim Min Jae. Like that was our first realistic target before going to Mount, but we kind of gave
And
up
you
on
didn't
that
get
decor.
and you didn't get a center back the whole summer. That's what I'm
We got
saying
Johnny
because you.
Evans.
Yeah,
So
that's what I'm saying. That's overspent what your budget was. Let's say your budget was 150 million. You spent
yep,
overspent on Mount and Onana, where you could have
yep.
got cheaper options. Like you could have just kept Dean Henderson and got 20 million or keeper. Like even you could have got David Raya. I think would have worked for you guys. Like
even 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 De Gea could have
for
been
one
in
season.
there for one season. For
Yeah,
this
But
exactly.
season,
may-
Just keep him.
maybe,
still,
maybe, maybe, maybe it has gone too sour for De Gea to stay at United. You just could have gone David Raya. They gave him on
I mean,
loan to Arsenal.
it was not sour at all. Like I mean, he got the Golden Glove, and I think the only thing
Within
was like
the
he was.
fans and he was making some obvious errors and he was getting
Who
pointed
cares
out.
about the fans? Like I
No,
mean,
no,
if
no, no.
if
I'm
you're a
saying he
player
was
and if
getting
you're
some.
getting like, no, I think it was more about the contract.
Yeah,
He was about to get a renew, and he was on massive like wages, like we know
wages,
from
yes.
last time. And I think that sort of was the deciding factor. Like, do we give him 400,000,
yeah. But
or do we
I'm
get a new
saying like
goalkeeper together.
like I was saying, like you could have got a David Raya or whatever the
But
Brighton's
we
goalkeeper is,
didn't.
or and
I,
there are many goalkeepers
I
like
don't
Jose
think
Sa came from Wolves.
I don't think we needed a goalkeeper change. I
Yeah,
mean, if
even
I'll
if
No,
be
you
that
did,
honest,
wasn't the priority at least. That
even
wasn't
if
the
you did,
priority.
even if you did, I said you could have spent less on a goalkeeper on a, or like a Vicario like Spurs got, and it would have worked. But I think this is where
yeah, I
Ten Hag's
mean,
bias kicks in, and he's going for all his old players from Ajax. It's not Ajax, and it's that Ajax team has. It's been 3 years or 4 years that Ajax team went to the
what
final.
does that tell you that the manager is going for his older players? That means that the scouts at Manchester United, they're completely useless, and Eric Ten Hag does not trust them. The fact that
Yeah,
he's going for Ajax players from 2 years ago, and look at
not even two.
Eriksen, and there's so many players, right? There's so many players from the Dutch league and Ajax. Why
Yeah.
is he doing that? Because apparently, a big club like Manchester United, they don't have a capability to track, find, scout, buy good
Do you
talent.
think it's only the scout, or do you think it's Eric Ten Hag himself?
Eric Ten Hag is a manager. I'm not sure as a manager whether he has a
But
responsibility to
he
track
is picking
players.
these players. Like he wanted Anthony for sure. He wanted Mason
Yeah, but
Mount for
these are
sure.
like the it's a, so I'll give you an example. If a hot girl comes to me and say, "Hey," and I'm married, like, "Hey, do you know if I can go out with somebody?" I'll say, "Oh, I have two really good guys. One is Rono Joy, another is Shayan, and they are they're single and they're nice. And I'm doing that because I know you guys, right? I'm not a Tinder dating app. I don't know the best fit for her, but I'm going to just refer the first thing that comes in my mind. And I think it's kind of like the same example for Eric Ten Hag. He is desperately going back to his old players because he doesn't know any better, and that's fine because he has other responsibilities as well. But what are the scouts in Manchester United doing? Have you ever seen us sign good players? I mean, I know we've signed Garnacho and there's Ahmad as well. I don't know if you know about Ahmad, but they're decent.
Yeah, we know
But
Amma.
look at some of the players that a club like Manchester City or even like Liverpool. I'm not seeing Manchester United do that. I
But
don't think
you are linked with these players before. Like Julian Alvarez, I think was very
Manchester United
close to
gets linked with every player in
With
the
a
world.
lot of
Whether
players,
that is
yes.
whether that is a real link or maybe it's the player trying to
Media
push
outlet.
for a move
yeah.
or the
Okay,
club
yeah.
or the agent. We don't know. But a club like Manchester United is going to get linked with hundreds of players in a transfer window. It's just that we don't know
And
which one is a legit one.
it, and it could be a media hype as well. Athletic,
100%.
this, you know.
100%. So yeah, I mean, I think we've spoken about Manchester United for a long time.
So
So
like,
all in all,
where do you go from here? Like, I think from the next few games, Burnley, and you play in between someone, and then Brentford. I think those games are crucial. You have to win at least get 7 points on the board from those three games.
yeah, and let me just check the fixture. I know we are playing Munich and Burnley next. After that, we have
Just
Crystal
forget
Palace.
Munich. I don't think
So we've
we
got
can
two matches against Palace. So one
Palace.
is
Yeah,
for
the League
the
Cup.
EFL Cup, and then there's a Premier League match. Okay, so both of them are at Old Trafford, which is weird. But anyways, so I think the
6 points,
positivity.
7 points definitely from the next three games. I think Brentford,
Hopefully, but
Brentford
I
will be
think
tough.
like more importantly, we need to find our identity of how we want to play. I mean, 3 points or 1 point or no point. I guess 3 points is better than no point or 1 point. But at the same time, we need to find our style, which has been missing in the last 5 games. Nobody knows what we are going to do and how we are going to play or who is even going to start. We're stricken with injuries. We're stricken with players having scandals, whether it's a tiff with the manager or their personal life. We need to find our best 11, find a way that we want to play. There are new players coming in. Mason Mount is probably going to be back for the Bayern game. Varane is going to come in. Amrabat, we've not
Yeah.
seen him. So
So
I think those are the
that's
positive
the only silver lining I think right now. Yeah,
hope.
some players
Yes,
are
100%.
So
Yeah.
one last question. So is it the worst start you had for last 2 decades?
Last 2 decades. Oh, that's a lot of time.
I don't know if under Oli they had a worse start or not. I don't remember.
No, I think it
Uh,
was slightly better in Ole's time, but this season,
Yeah, maybe the start was better, but I
yeah,
don't
overall
remember
it
actually.
was.
it's one of the worst. I'm not going to
No, I
lie.
think
One of the worst.
David. What about the David Moyes? When David Moyes came, that season was it?
Well, we started off by winning the what's that community shield? Yeah, the
Caraba?
community shield.
Sorry,
Yes.
your community, sorry.
Community
No,
shield. So that
Community Shield.
was like a
Community
good
Shield.
good start. And I think we won the first 2 or 3 games, and then it went tits up. So I'm not really sure, but this is definitely one of the worst starts that we've seen because last season was really bad as well, right? We lost to Brentford and Brighton,
Yeah.
and then the whole 6-3 against Manchester City. So it was not looking good. But I just
But I
feel like
think
we are
this
a bit.
time you lost all the tough games, and I think Brighton away. Sorry, Brighton is a tough game. Spurs away is tough, and Arsenal away is definitely tough.
All most of the games in the Premier League are going to be like tough, at
Yeah.
least for
So
Manchester United.
so
So
next
I
three
don't know.
games, I think you need to rack up points, or I think the sack word comes again back.
Yeah, I think like sacking the manager this season would also again be the wrong decision, whether that's a decision that's been taken
Yeah, I
by the
completely
board or
agree
the
with you.
fans,
I
because
completely
it
agree
I
with you.
became vicious
I
loop, right?
But
I
you will be
don't
under a
trust
lot of
Glazers
pressure.
at all. I don't
Yeah.
trust Glazers at all. They could, take any decision anytime.
But there's also
Yeah,
not many people to get in. There's
Oh,
no
they would take
no,
managers.
Graham Potter.
maybe
They would take Graham
we'll
Potter.
take
I'm
Deserby.
telling you.
No, we won't take Graham Potter.
Deserve he won't leave this season, I feel. And
They
I
would
think
take
he's a
Graham
little
Potter.
smart. He's a little
Manchester
smart
United.
to not join
Here
the
comes the
Manchester
Bucks.
United. So maybe he could be waiting for the City job when Guardiola leaves.
City job. When
City
does
is too
when
far-fetched, I
does
think.
Guardiola's? I thought Vincent Company is going to be the one taking over the reins.
Uh,
At least that was
I think
the
City
talk on the paper,
that I think City are smart enough not to do that. Like
right?
Liverpool were smart enough not to appoint Gerrard.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you for watching that video. We are a community of passionate football fans and we post weekly videos on transfer news, match reactions, tactical analysis, and sometimes just gossip on the most exciting sport in the world. If that's what you like to hear, then hit that subscribe button and join the conversation with us.